he does that mixture and works a little bit defensively, he will be the best player of Real Madrid. And again, as I say, he will love that. Is that enough? I just feel that everybody realizes at Real Madrid that this team, even with the best players, is not just good enough. They cannot be compared to the past.
Welcome back to Morning Footy, everyone. Now, Álvaro Arbeloa's Real Madrid are welcoming Pep Guardiola's Manchester City to the Bernabeu today in leg one of the round of 16 in the Champions League. Kickoff is at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can watch that here on Paramount+. Now, this is a matchup we've seen 6 of the last 7 seasons, but Álvaro Arbeloa isn't letting Man City's 11-game unbeaten streak intimidate him. Take a listen.
Da igual quién tengamos enfrente, creo que somos el Real Madrid, no nos debemos sentir inferiores a nadie, ¿no? Mañana tenemos un rival que todos conocemos bien, sabemos de la identidad del club, de los jugadores, del entrenador, de lo que supone el Manchester City, que ha sido campeón de Europa hace 2 años, lo complicado que es siempre que nos hemos enfrentado a ellos, pero lo vamos a afrontar con muchísima ilusión y mirándoles a los ojos.
OK, so to talk more about this matchup, we are bringing Guillem Balagüe. Guillem, lovely to see you today. What did you make of Arbeloa's comments in that press conference there, saying we're not inferior to any club, we're Real Madrid?
He's got to say that, isn't he? I mean, this is a team that is not good enough without some of the best players facing the competition that they are known for, but really under terrible conditions. But he's got to say that. If he gets knocked out, then it will be a completely different season in which the league will be the main target, and using youngsters like Cisteros or Thiago, maybe more of Gonzalo, and then say we are preparing them for the future. They'll tell a completely different story. But right now, especially against Pep Guardiola and especially against Manchester City, a Clásico of European football, he's got to say that. But can I share a little story on Arbeloa recently? So I know him for his time at Liverpool especially, and we used to go for dinners and whatever. And I put a tweet out in between the Benfica games saying, this is Arbeloa, he used to be very nice and now he's a little bit unfriendly with the media. He's put distance out, and that has to do with his time with Mourinho. Mourinho divided the changing room, and Arbeloa wanted to be a soldier of Mourinho. So he saw me in the flash and I said, I love the tweet. And I thought, is he being serious or is he? Oh, did you? I said, yes. So I'm unfriendly, am I? And I was like, well, you kind of changed when Mourinho came in, and started laughing. And then I saw a different Arbeloa, almost like relaxed about being where he is. Not, he clearly reads things, and he clearly is on Twitter. I still haven't identified which one of my, million followers is him, but he's secretly there.
That's great.
But in any case, he does. It's important to him what they think of him, because he's at the beginning of his career as a manager. So I said, well, I've sent you a message in WhatsApp, and you have messaged me back, and the rest of the story is for another day. But in any case, this is a man learning in the job. But one thing he's got very clear and does quite well, I think, is the kind of messages he sends in the press conferences.
You've mentioned that Arbeloa does read tweets and see things on social media. He must be seeing all this Mauricio Pochettino rumours that are going around that he could be joining in the summer. What else do you have to make about that, Guillem? Have you got any updates for us to tell us any more on that?
So Mauricio will flirt with everyone that he thinks he could marry eventually. And of course, for a while, he was saying how much of not an anti-football club Barcelona, but that he wasn't close to Barcelona, even though there was a time where Bartomeu thought about him as a candidate for the bench. That was, he said, if he had accepted that or had entertained that, his kids, who are Espanyol fans, and his wife, who's an Espanyol fan as well, will stop talking to him. So there was an easy decision there. But in any case, Real Madrid is a dream. To go to Real Madrid is a dream. He thought he was going to be considered seriously for Manchester United, having been interviewed twice for the job and not getting it. And, of course, he loves Spurs and will take on Spurs if the project was right, even in the Championship. So he loves Spurs that much. For him, it's about projects and what kind of feeling he gets on the back of it. He knows, as you've been saying earlier, that Real Madrid will be for a year or two. 2 if he's lucky. But it will be an experience he wants to have in his career, one that he would have learned a lot by being at PSG with different type of players in the national side, and of course, Southampton, Espanyol, and Spurs. Real Madrid is a step that he wants to take, but Manchester United is a project that he feels that it will take him a long while where he wants to be, which is in the Premier League, again, if the context was right. So it's a choice to make, and I think he will flirt with that idea for a while, but you shouldn't wait to see what happens in the World Cup to get him. And I do feel that Florentino Perez will actually look at that to see, is he the right person for us? Because if he fails, maybe he's not, but if he doesn't, maybe he is. So still a long way to go for that decision.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting summer, I think, for so many managers around the world. For Real Madrid, Guillem, I feel like every single week we preview them, we talk about them in the Champions League when the Champions League comes around. And the consistent thing is how depleted their squad continues to be, right? So many key figures out of this tie, but this is Real Madrid. So when I think of this match, is it crazy to say that they can win this first leg against Manchester City? Or is it just Real Madrid is foregone conclusion?
No. This is the Bernabeu, and this is Real Madrid, and you have to say, and I keep repeating myself, but when the Champions League music comes on, they're taller and bigger shoulders and handsomer than anybody else. It's just, I don't know how they do it. But quite clearly, one or two things seem to be benefiting them, if you want to put a positive spin on it. Okay, Mbappe's not there, but even though they're trying to get him for the second leg, and he may play, he won't be 100%. Do you want not a 100% player to play against a team you're going to have to pressure? And there'll be 2 players in Vini as well that probably won't do that so much. Do you need him there? Because meanwhile, you've got Gonzalo who does that and scores. You've got Thiago Pitarch, 18-year-old, who looks fantastic. And I think he will start today on the left-hand side of that 4-2-3-1 that they will play. So, there's Cisternos, there is all the young players that they're using coming from the bench that adds energy to the team, which absolutely needs it. They've got quality, not experience, but they can offer something. And if you start doing what Arbeloa has done, which is giving them the opportunity to shine, and it doesn't happen, I think the fans will accept that a little bit more, that if you actually give the usual 11 the opportunity to get it wrong, as they've been getting this season. They don't have the energy, the belief, the order, a lot of things you have to do to beat Manchester City. So it's going to be an interesting 11 to start with. They're not favourites. They probably will be knocked out by Manchester City, but they need to give themselves a very good account of themselves at the Bernabeu, because then otherwise the season will be very, very long.
Guillem, you mentioned Vinny Jr., and I think this is a glaring opportunity for him. Without Kylian Mbappé, someone needs to step up. They've conceded goals for fun, so I'm expecting that they will still concede goals in this tie. It's about trying to outscore Manchester City, which obviously isn't easy. What has gone wrong with Vinny Jr., and how is he approaching this opportunity where he's going to be the man, and he has an opportunity here to push this team forward and be the star once again for Real Madrid?
I don't know what you mean by wrong, as in recent times, he's the shining light of Real Madrid. Perhaps he hasn't been scoring as freely as he did in the past, and certainly the beginning of the year was terrible for him. But I do feel that he's now identified that without Mbappé there, he's the top guy, and he loves to be the top guy. So it's like, give me the ball. But the team has to help. The ball has to get to him in good conditions to have a 1v1 or, 2v1 if you want. He can beat all that. And if he doesn't, he's got to trust the people around him to give them the ball, and for him to give others opportunity to use those spaces. If he does that mixture and works a little bit defensively, he will be the best player of Real Madrid. And again, as I say, he will love that. Is that enough? I just feel that everybody realizes at Real Madrid that this team, even with the best players, is not just good enough. They cannot be compared to the past. And of course, if you miss Militao or Bellingham or Rodrigo, then, it could be a disaster.
Guillem, great stuff. Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you on the coverage tonight. That's Real Madrid taking on Manchester City at the Bernabeu. You can, of course, watch that here on Paramount Plus at 4 p.m. with coverage starting at 3 p.m. Eastern.